denim, 32 bagger, Gucci frames on with a European swagger. I just got a tank full of gas. Mama ass is so thick, you can't see the bags. You like what you see, don't you? Well, I'm looking like a chief, don't I? Yeah, I got a team that wears some big rings. I bet you want a sheep, don't you? Light up the city like me. Burn out, hear the tires screech. Skate out, on that hog, I'm a beast. And in the streets, I'm a king with a throne you can't reach. Now I'm a riding, rolling, ride. I'ma live forever, cause God can't die. Won't sell my soul, my heart, my pride. I'ma live forever, said God won't die. Now I'm a riding, rolling, ride. I'ma live forever, God can't die.
On screen, so we can see who's tuning in. Need you to please jump in here. Your name is all right. We'll get started on this. We'll get started on this live. This song was that was a track called God Stand By. Done by y'all hear me? Y'all hear me out there? That was a track done by Rico Barino, produced by my man Dirty King. That's actually representing all stuff. So that was something that we did one time when Rico Barino came to Philly. We went straight to the studio and went in the booth. And, Dirty played that track. Rico went right in. Kind of like a dope. It's the motorcycle inspired track, huh? Okay, real quick one more time. It's real. Real nice beat to it. This first couple lyrics he dropped on his motorcycle. You know how y'all like it. Sound a little muffled. We try to that better.
You can't see the bags. You like what you see, don't you? Well,
how's that? That better? Yes, I'm messing with this new podcast stuff, which is very, 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 very exciting. And let me know if y'all can hear me. Curtis Scott says sound a little muffled. How was that, Curtis? Is it cool? Make it better. I'm looking at the comments to see that's better. Let me know. In the meantime, I'm gonna just keep talking. You guys let me know who music is clear. How about the vocals? Can you hear me? Can you hear my voice clear? How about that? Let's see. How about now? They good? Sound good? Yeah, Snow, give me some thumbs up. Yo, the people who be using all this fancy microphones and all this kind of stuff, they make it you muffled. All right, this is what we're gonna do. So we'll try this one. We'll try this way better now. All right. We'll try the fancy microphone. We'll try the fancy microphone another day. You start going about the fancy stuff. Whatever you did, that's just good. All right, cool. We'll get my microphone tuned. We'll get my microphone tuned for another day. We gotta go back into DSP and get that thing tuned up. Listen, if you just came in, do me a favor. Go to StreamYard and grant StreamYard access to allow you to show your name as it pops up. All right, we want to give a shout out to the 2022 advertising partners for Team Money Cycle Sound Off series. So if you look at the bottom of your screen, check out the businesses as they flow down the bottom, and make sure you go online and check out each one individually. This live is going to be brought to you by Speed by Design, located out in Corona, California. So make sure you hit them up online at www.speedbydesign.net. All right. In the meantime, I got a topic tonight that we want to talk about, and it is how to build the perfect playlist. If you are interested in coming on here, just do me a favor as I glance down at my phone. I'm going to try to keep up with those of you who are putting comments up, or put a comment up on the page, and I'll try to follow along with it. Just bear with me. I will send you a link to your Facebook Messenger and try to get you on if you have any questions or want to come on and talk. But the topic is how to build the perfect playlist. So many of you in some form of fashion or are entering sound competitions, are parking lot pimping, are going to local bike nights. And one thing that we see at any of these situations is the brain freeze. Whether you're in competition or you at the local bike night, everything's a competition. All right, let's all agree to disagree. If you're at the stoplight and you're in a 1988 Oldsmobile Cutlass and a Mustang pulls up next to you, and you look at the person in the lane next to you, whether you feel as though you have a fighting chance of beating that person or not, when the light turns green, there are chances that somebody's going to step on the gas for a contest of speed or ego or whatever you want to call it. So this happens in motorcycle audio. If you think about it, people build systems and say, "Oh man, I don't want a system to compete." But if you're riding with your buddies on a bike, and when we get to the light, and you have your music playing and I have my music playing, chances are we're both going to sneak and try to click with our thumbs, click our volume up just a little bit to get the edge or the volume over the guy that's next to you or the girl that's next to you. Same at the local bike night. For that $10 trophy, you are going to definitely try to commit an audio catastrophe against the guy that you're next to. So in doing that, you want to make sure that you have the perfect playlist to do such. And I'm not talking about the playlist that when you're home at night and you got a ride coming up and you're just randomly dropping your favorite songs that you either Shazammed or just created over the years. I'm talking about a perfect competition style playlist. And it's important that you do that because what happens is a lot of times you see participants get in the ring, and whether it's King of the Hill or whether it is, you see it more predominantly in King of the Hill, but even in point shows, you have 90 seconds. You have 90 seconds to impress the judges if it's a judge event. And if you didn't build your playlist in a way to capitalize on each of those 90 seconds, chances are the enemy is going to get you. And when I say the enemy, you'll be like, well, who exactly is the enemy? If you guys had to guess, and you could drop it in the comments, in a sound competition, who do you think your number one adversary is when you enter the ring? I'll wait to see if I see some comments pop up. Who would you say your number one competition is in the ring? I'll wait a couple minutes, couple seconds rather, while I try to pull you guys' comments up to see what you say. So if you ask me, let me see, somebody said myself. Jason Harris. Okay. You're your worst enemy. Do you think it's because you get in your head? I see a lot of people saying self. Who is that? Osei Staten. I hope I said your name, pronounced your name correct. I see Charles Lipsy. You guys grant StreamYard permission so we can see your names pop up on the actual chat. So a lot of people have said yourself. Jason Harris said himself because he don't, I don't turn it up. Okay, that's another topic. That's going to be the volume control live. All right, I'm going to tell you guys who I think the biggest enemy is when you go into the ring. The biggest and the main enemy is the clock, right? Because granted, we know what the judge's assignment is. Yeah, it's subjective, and ultimately some judges, listen. Across the board, judges should be listening for the same thing, but everybody has their picks and whatnot, and I won't go into that on what are some highlights that may stick out to them making the overall decision. But the one consistent thing in the ring is the clock. We know that each time, every time, when you set it to 90 seconds, minute 30, what have you, the clock is going to get its job right every time. Now, the timekeeper may, fall asleep from time to time, but we all can agree that the clock, those 90 seconds are going to be on time every time, right? Somebody say time. That's a good one, Curtis. Cat's very wasting precious time playing all that intro music. Good. I'm going to get to that. Perfect. So you have 90 seconds, right? And I don't know how many of you on here practice. If you do practice, if you don't practice, you could drop it in the comments saying, I should practice, I don't practice, I do practice. But I would get a stopwatch, right? And I would really, if you're competing on a high level, I see guys coming to SOS with a great product, and they just missed a step in preparing for competition, and that's making sure they police their playlist, making sure that their playlist is on point and aligned with the clock. So you have this playlist, you come in the ring, just gonna set the stage. You just paid to get your bike out, got it tuned, it's sounding great. You're at home and you're going through your playlist and you're letting songs play for 2 minutes at a time or 30 seconds at a time. And you just fire songs away and you like, I got it. This is it. I'm ready. So you load your bike up, you get to the competition, you're excited, you see your buddies, you're high-fiving, you're drinking a couple beers, you register, and you're waiting for your name to get called. Cool. You see the judges, you see the host, hey, what's up, everybody, blah, blah, blah. So now they tell you, let me see whose name I see popping up when I hit this phone. So you see, you say Fastlane Lamar and Jose Anthony Diaz. Jose and Fastlane in the hole. So now you're in the hole. You're ready. It's your time to shine. You're at the SOS. Ooh, time to get it on. You got all these people on both sides waiting to see what you do in 90 seconds. We know the judges are there, paddles in hand. Your opponent pulled alongside of you, just as nervous as you. And you look at the clock. You see a minute 30. And you get your phone, and what happens is this is what many of you have on your phone when you look at it. Let me scroll down to my visual aid. So this is just an example on my phone. Let me get that other thing out of get this other thing out of your way, folks. 1 second. So you got something like this. Now this is just a screenshot of my playlist. So I got these are playlists that I posted up years ago for people to experiment. So I got a jazz battle playlist. I got a SOS rock and roll, SOS funk. You got weird battle songs. I got weird.com battle. I got this one right here, Ooh Fire. I don't remember what's on that one, but this is one of them at home playlists that I was putting together, and I have to open that up and see what's actually on that particular playlist. But this is what you look at, and I can tell you, if this is what you have on your screen at 1:30, all of these different playlists that you have to click on, and then on the next screen is just you're scrolling through songs and songs and songs, chances are you've just ate up 20 seconds. You just ate up 20 seconds of your time. Easy. You just easy lost 20 seconds out of that 1:30, out of that 90. So now you're down to 70 seconds, right? 70 seconds. What now? Because listen, we already agreed the clock is going to be consistent. It's not going to stop. So boom, you go through those lists, and then you hit another list, and I see guys thumbing. Or you may get lucky. You know what first song you're going to play. Boom, you come in, boom, you hit it, right? So you play it. But now you're kind of looking around, and you don't have what they call, say, momentum. Or you just feel, you ever get that feeling like you're in the ring and you play a song and the 90 seconds is going too slow, and you feel like that particular song may have you took all the steam out of it. No matter how great you thought it sound when you were in the garage, now you're in the ring, and you're trying to read the crowd, you're trying to read the judges, you second guessing yourself. You're like, damn, do I go to another song? So now you're back on that long list that I just showed you an example of, and you're scrolling. You might have 30 different sub chapters of songs. So then you finally click one, you click their Ooh Fire playlist. And within Ooh Fire playlist, you got another 50 songs. So now you're trying to think in your head, all right, do I play this one? I like it, but it got a long intro. Or the part that I needed to key up to, it comes on in a minute of the song, but you just ate up 30 to 40 seconds on your first song, and you only got 50 to 40 seconds left, and you know you're not going to get it. So what do you do now? So now you've panicked for another 10 to 15 seconds. And then you just fire any song that, if you get lucky, it comes in and woes the crowd and the remaining 15 to 20 seconds that you have left. Or it just totally kills your momentum and your drive, and you stand there and watch the clock go 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then you turn your bike off. You look at the judge look at you. The people in the ring who heard your bike when you were playing it on the side are now have that disappointing look when they look at you like, damn, he did so good, or she did so good on the sidelines. What happened? What happened was your number one enemy got a hold of you in the ring. The clock beat you because you didn't prepare, or you played a song with a long intro that just ate up time. When we went to the show in Texas, I saw a guy there, great bike. Probably he came in. I was hearing about this bike like a month before we even made it out there. They were bragging about the bike, and I'll say the guy's name, Scott Winsett. Phenomenally built bike, sounds great. And Scott played 2 songs, and it wasn't the genre. People think, oh, this is R&B based, or is rap based, or is is based on who has the amount of bass. I remember when Chris Stapleton song, I think back in like 2018, Tennessee Whiskey, which is not a heavy bass song, which has a very clean vocal and guitar presence, was one of the most dominating songs in the SOS, not even just the SOS and Motorcycle Audio during that year, which was a country song, which was one of the country songs at the time that got me opening up to listen to more country artists, because it sounded good. It had presence. It had a nice build up. So Scott played a country song, and it had a nice, I forget the name of the song, but it was kind of slow. Had a very slow build up. The uh the singer had a nice baritone, deep voice, and it carried a very low note, but it wasn't enough to highlight. It wasn't enough to highlight. It just wasn't enough to highlight the sound system. And then he hit another song, and it was like the same thing. And I'm looking at the clock, and if I remember, those two songs combined with their intros, he ate up like 40 seconds, 30 between 30 and 40 seconds um, of his time, right? Well, you only got a minute and 30. So now you ate up 40. You play a song that's pretty decent. Say, for instance, I'm not speaking on him now, I'm just saying in general. So imagine eating 40 seconds up, and now you play a song that, has a 30-second intro before it really gets wound up. And even though it's building and highlighting the system, the best part is into like another 40 seconds. It's so hard for you to get your momentum up. And that's oftentimes what you're seeing in the ring. So what I would say, though, come out and swing as hard as you can the first time out. If you want to do songs that have a slower intro, pick songs that are constantly building. The first 5 seconds, it's building. If it's showing the breath in your system, some of the highs. If it's like a real airy song, cool. Make sure the next 5 to 7 seconds is bringing in. I don't care if it's some synthesizers or if the bass is coming in dropping last. You have to pick a song if you're going to kill time that is constantly building. 15 seconds of strings, not worth it. 15 seconds of an artist talking on the intro, and just because it is playing that 40 to 45 hertz bass tone that you love because it's loud and it's resonating, it's not worth you sacrificing that much time. It's just not. So you gotta all those different tones, different sounds, different things. All those are weapons against the clock. And when you don't fire those weapons against the clock, what happens is the clock ends up defeating you. And now you're standing there, with your lip poked out. So you got to go in there with the mind to have do a clean fight. Anybody got any questions while I'm breaking this down? So another thing people may ask, what's the difference between parking lot pimping versus competition? And like I said earlier, everything to me is competition. If we playing in front of the church and I put my system on and you put your system on, everyone has joined the 30-30-30 gang and don't do it properly. That's Brad Ball. So listen, man, everything's competition. Parking lot pimping, competition. If you roll in the ring and register and it's a judge show, competition. If it's King of the Hill, it's a competition. To me, do I have different strategies? Absolutely. For King of the Hill, at the least, I want to have 2 songs per round for King of the Hill. Me. With a little more experience, it's safe to say that I can hit you with 3 rounds per song in King of the Hill and manage the clock. But think about this. If you're firing 3 songs in King of the Hill and you have a good bike, and you go, say, 10 rounds, you need 30 songs. So that means you need 30 songs if you have a strong bike and you're trying to fire 3 songs per round. That is a lot of practice. That's a lot of experience. That's a lot of time management. And on top of that, it's a lot of strategy because you're going up against 9 or 10 different opponents. So what I'm gonna play against say, Bobby, I'm not going to play against Johnny. You know what I'm saying? So now you got a lot of other things to come and play with King of the Hill. Some people just make a King of the Hill playlist and they're just going to go straight down the line, which is cool too if that's safe. But once you get like a little more seasoned experience, like you're looking at each opponent and you're like, damn, that's such and such. I know he's real clean on the vocal side of things, but I can expose the kink in his armor because his mids aren't exactly there or his bass isn't exactly there. And although we're not judging on just those different attributes, it's like fighting. Who got a good uppercut? Who got the jab? What is Brad? What is Jason? What is Lee? What's Soundzilla's strong points? What's Megatron or any of these other bikes? Every person has a kink in their armor. Trust me. So you take all of that and then you put that against the clock. Now you got more pressure on you, right? So that's why I'm like, this thing has turned into a sport where you have to have some type of a skill set to get it done. We haven't even talked about volume control. That's a totally different podcast for us to jump on. So now think about all these things that you guys have to take into consideration when you're coming in planning for a show. You got somebody said, not me, I'm bulletproof. That's Marcus Pratt. Not me, I'm bulletproof. Okay, I hear you, Superman. So now you got all these things. Damn, you got the clock. So I got a winner. I think I got a competitive bike. But now I got all these other guys who are just as competitive. So now you got to, like, before the show, you should really be walking, scouting to see who's in your class. At the SOS Texas show, there were guys who came Friday night for the meet and greet that never pulled their bikes off the trailer. But you think they weren't in the crowd or walking around in different trailers listening to the competition fire off and seeing what they had? There was a lot of sneaky scouting going on. It was like grudge bikes. It was like we were at the racetrack, so you had grudge bikes that might be at the track not making a hit because they came in on Wednesday or Thursday and tested, and they already know what the track is doing. It's like that at sound competitions. If the tent is up Thursday or Friday or what have you, you got guys coming in town early that day, sliding under the tent, trying to get their minute and 30 or their 3 to 5 minutes or whatever under the tent to see what are the acoustics going to be like. What songs can they get off? Can they crank their volume up a little more? Can they crank their volume up, crank the volume down? We had an audible call in Texas where the wind was crazy Friday night going into Saturday. So if you tested at the track on Friday, when you came there Saturday, the tents weren't up anymore. You were playing in open air. What now? What do you do now? Do you just go in there haphazardly and just play? Or do you go over to your trailer and try to see what the difference is playing in that environment? But all that plays on your playlist. A particular type of reverb, or you depending on the insulation of the roof of the tent to help you with certain songs. Now the tent is not there. Do you alter the playlist? How does that affect some of those sounds and tones that you were looking for the reflection coming from up top? What happens now? Those are the things that I'm thinking about if I'm competing. All right, damn, I don't think I'm gonna drop this song. Or we playing in the building where there's a lot of echo, with concrete floors, with high ceilings, with low ceilings. These are all things that ultimately come back into how are you going to build this playlist. Because it may have an adverse effect on the songs that you're going to play. And this may be too technical for some. Some may say, hey man, this is too deep. I'm not getting this much into it. But believe me, there are people who have purchased mics and turn labs and all kind of stuff in the beginning up into buying tents. People are going out in fields, pitching tents and playing their music out in fields. It's crazy the pictures that we get, like, Hey man, just wanted to let you know I was out. I put my tent up and I was, firing some songs. I'm like, that's dedication. The fact that this person went and bought a 10 by 20 tent and is out. Somebody just had a picture up of that, and they're out in the middle of nowhere because most people live in the subdivisions. You can't play as loud as you want at home, or you're in a smaller garage. So you're actually getting a false pretense that you're louder than what you really are. So you trying to go out and create these real life environments. I think is great, but I think that the one thing that people miss out on when they do this is recognizing who the enemy is, and that's the clock, as we spoke on. So parking lot pimping versus competition. My parking lot pimping playlist is going to be more aggressive than my competition playlist. Parking lot pimping is kind of like the street racing to being at a competition. I think the competition atmosphere and the SOS is a more, although it can get wild, it is a more controlled environment. Whereas though we're in the parking lot, is normally you and the person or the persons going down the line, looking at each other. And although it's supposed to be fun and playlist battles and all, it's still competition. I'm going to be more aggressive. There's not really any rules. Most times it's loosely judged. So you have to come out and just attack. You have to just, it's a whole lot. It's offense and defense, because I'm trying to think of where you're going next by what you just played. I'm trying to think, okay, what's the kink in, say, Marcus? What's the kink in Marcus' armor? What is he missing that I have that I can make the crowd notice that he doesn't have it? And at that point, I'm going to every playlist. I'm scrolling through and I'm trying to rapid fire and hit you in your weakest point as much as possible by still playing balance. I'm doing that in competition too, but because most times in parking lot pimping, you're not governed by a clock, so it's a little more loose knit. It's going to be more like a street fight. So your parking lot pimping playlist to me has to be, your arsenal has to be stronger. I'm coming. You gotta go right at them. Competition is a little more controlled. You got 90 seconds. It's you got three judges that, okay, the crowd is secondary. Anybody who's in the ring and says you don't want to please both the judges and the crowd. No, our egos make us want to be the man or be the woman, no matter if it's one person judging or you got three judges and 500 to 1,000 people. You want to be respected amongst your peers, participants, and spectators. Ultimately, the judge's decision is all that really matters. The crowd is just the letterman card. But in parking lot pimping, the crowd most time is the judge. So you're trying to earn that respect. Like, there's no trophies. There's no awards unless you got guys betting. The prize is people saying your name or remembering you the next day or for 5 minutes, however long the fame lasts. Like, damn, did you see them guys grudging in the street or grudging in the parking lot? Man, such and such was firing at him. He was giving it to him. And your adrenaline is pumping because I'll just hit you with 2 songs. Boom. Then you came back and hit me with 2 songs. The worst thing you can do when it's your turn, when they look over at you and it's time for you to play a song, to be stumped. And you're sitting there with your phone like, because when you look up, everybody you're battling against, they're staring at you. So in parking lot pimping, that's where the pressure comes in at. At this point, the clock is not your enemy. Your opponent, your adversary, that is now your enemy. The crowd that you're trying to win over, they have now became, your enemy. And you're just sitting there. And being a good parking lot, being a good street battler, so to speak, will make you good in the actual competition when that clock is on you, because yeah, you getting ahead of me. You getting ahead of me, Brad. I'm going to that. I got one for that too. Brad said and sandbagging is almost a guaranteed loss. That's my icing on the cake. I'm only going to be on here for like 45 minutes today. I'm gonna make these podcasts. I'm gonna hit them and quit them. So check it. That clock and competition becomes the crowd and your opponent in parking lot pimping. So get out and do some street battles and do some parking lot pimping. All that's part of the subculture of motorcycle audio. All that is important. The hype, the adrenaline, all of that will come into play. So I see people saying, "Oh, I love parking lot pimping over competition." No, they all have a role. You know, when I battle, most of our stuff was pull up and street battles more or less than the organized competitions. That more so, that's what kind of preempted me and got me hyped to doing it with the SOS, to have more of a structured competition platform, but not at just bike rallies, something that was going to be continuous throughout the year. But being a street battle, pulling up at a such and such and such and such, we gonna battle a Brad. I want to battle you next Friday at the McDonald's parking lot, or next Friday we meeting at such and such shop, and me and you gonna get it on. If it's just 10 guys or 20 guys or girls pull up and we just got it on and we fought, like, you know, that was how you got your respect. There was no trophies and belts unless you were going to a an actual competition at a rally or something, more or less. And I'm not saying that, for somebody take that out of context, that sound competitions didn't exist outside of motorcycle rallies. It was just very, very, very few than what we see now, where it's 2 and 3 events every weekend. So that parking lot pimping, street battling in the streets are that's important too. And I would say get out there and get your respect there too, and sharpen your playlists up. You know what I'm saying? Sharpen up those playlists. Somebody said the good old days. Listen, man, I'll take I like both. I like the competition. There's a home for both. But if you take a dude that's vicious, a vicious street parking lot battle type guy, and you put him in that controlled environment against that clock, it's kind of like trying to take a street racer and put him on the track. There are going to be some variables on that track that not like the street, and vice versa. So you gotta be sharp and versed at both. You know what I mean? So we got 38 minutes. So another thing is, and I got one more after this, how to execute. This is for Brad, because Brad made a comment on here about sandbagging. How to execute. Strike first or scout the competition. Scouting starts when I pull up. Scouting start online. Scouting starts on other at other shows, or based on what people are saying. I'm on here, I'm watching, and I'm following different guys who are out here competing, and girls, and what are they doing, and whose bike has gotten all this chatter and whatnot. And whatnot. So there's my co-producer making sure I had some water. Shout out to Lil Ricky. So yeah, you got to scout the competition, but some people make the mistake of scouting the competition when they get in the ring. You were supposed to already scout that person. If you're a boxer, you don't scout the guy that you're gonna fight once you get in the ring. Football, you're supposed to look at tape prior to, a day before, the day of, but there's no scouting in the ring. It's in the ring is nothing but battle. You scout Friday night at the meet and greet. That's when you come out and you play. And the object is to try to get that guy to push his bike hard, so at least you know what the potentially face the next day, even if he's sandbagging, you know, you want to step on a little bit so you could kind of get an idea of what you're going up against. You know what I'm saying? But when we get in the ring, there's no such thing as sandbagging. And I'm gonna keep using Texas is probably the biggest sandbagging. Texas middleweights was the biggest example of sandbagging that I witnessed. You had a field of 8 to 9 middleweights, probably some of the best middleweights in the country, no lie. When they did the 8-man shootout Saturday night in the ring, you would have thought that, with the exception of Johnny, who stepped on it and struck first from the beginning, from the first bite to the last bite, he beat, shout out to Bankrupt, my man Bankrupt present from up the Midwest. What's up, Jeff? So with the exception of Johnny, man, it was some top bites in there from Lawrence, from Marcus Pratt. You had Steve, you had Ron Nutt, you had Jay Ford, who else? I know I'm gonna leave somebody out. Help me out. What's my man that was he was wasted? Nick. No, not Nick. You had Austin in there. And I'm missing one other person. But you had some heat. You had some Texas heat in there. Yo, it seemed like during there, every single bike came in the ring and played that in King of the Hill. They played their first round as if there was like, that was just the prelims, and they had like a semifinal round coming up. Like we were like, the judges, we were perplexed on the side. Once middleweight was over, like we kind of like scratched our head because we had got so much hype prior to about these middleweights in Texas and how crazy they were, and these are some of the best, and blah, blah, blah. And nobody struck first. Johnny was the only guy, in my opinion, that came out and actually swung for the fences, and he ended up knocking everybody off and taking a win. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna be honest, like I didn't get it. I'm like, you know what happened? Do I got a picture of Johnny here, by the way? Let me show you guys the dude I'm talking about when it came to. Is that him? Yeah, this guy right here came in and cleaned house in the middleweight class. We did the 8-man shootout, and every single bike that played in that 8-man shootout at the end of the night, they did a grudge for $100. Every single bike, not one, not two, every single bike in that middleweight class is a potential winner. That if they would have struck first, not saying it would have changed the outcome, not saying Johnny would have not still won, but it would have been the battle of it would have been a battle of the centuries. Marcus said, man, Johnny won, but I played my bike. Marcus, okay. Marcus said he played his. I ain't Mr. Pratt. I'm not here. I'm here talking about playlist. I'm with you. Marcus said he played his bike. All I'm saying is that came into how to execute. I'll say majority of that class did not, I feel, execute. Everybody kind of like set back as if they had another round. When you're playing King of the Hill, you have to swing every round hard. Now, here's where you could kind of be strategic if you want to save battery. You've already won a round, right? And a guy comes in, and since you won that round and you're sitting, they have to go first. So boom, I come in, Johnny plays, I beat Johnny, so I'm sitting, and Mark comes in. If Mark plays, and now this is me in my head. If I feel as though that I play, I have a better product than Mark, and I don't have to play as hard, I could take a chance and taking a little soft off of it, right? And not striking as hard. But here's the thing. That's me in my head thinking what I need to do. Suppose the judges feel differently. So should you just strike hard every round to be on the safe side? or should you be a little conservative on some rounds? That's something else. And remember, you still got this clock. So you can knock 8 bikes out. Each time that clock goes to 90 seconds, you back at square one. You back at scratch. Some people think because they on a roll, they think like it's like it's a continuous. It just like when you go to sudden death. If it's a tiebreaker and we playing same song, some people feel as though, hey man, because I did well the songs before this, I ain't want to really give it all to them. No. I like this. I'm giving pat each round. Each round, you got to give it up. If it go the same song, sudden death, you're back at 0. You're back at square one. You have to give it up. So again, who is the enemy? That 90 seconds. You got to give it up in 90 seconds. That's what you got to do. And this is the last thing, because I want to get off of here in 50 minutes. So I got about 3 more minutes. Here's the last thing I got for you. This one right here is the ultimate playlist. Main thing, should you or should you not do this? When to play back to back. First off, do you guys know what back to back is? That back to back is, I came in the ring and I'm gonna pick a song everybody knows that was famous this year. I play Swag Surfing, right? So we know Swag Surfing is a crowd pleaser. Yes, you got 3 judges in there, but you know Swag Surfing, whether you play it at I'll see it online. Put in Swag Surfing. I don't care if you at a wedding, a bar mitzvah, a high school graduation, homecoming. They probably got a version of Swag Surfing in church. When you hear go and got that swag, so you hear that come on, you already know it's going to get hype, right? You know the crowd is building up the anticipation for that drop, right? Now, if you got Johnny and Mike in the ring and Johnny plays Swag Surfing and you know that's one of his go-to songs, and you don't play Swag Surfing ever and you don't know how it sounds on your bike, it might behoove you not to strike hard and try to back-to-back Johnny. Because Johnny that's his anchor song. That's when he's coming off the top rope. That's the uppercut. That's the hook that's gonna make you crook. It's just some of those songs that you just don't back to back. If it's a jazz song and you know it got a prominent saxophone lick in it, what was that? That Gerald Albright, I think it is, Anniversary. Is that the song? That got that crazy intro where you can almost hear the breath coming into old Louis. Louis, you should be at a concert. Why are you even on here? And you got that that breath coming out of the actual speakers, and you can hear everything. And you know your tune doesn't have that type of fidelity and stuff, and it don't try to play that back to back. But oftentimes you see folks get arrogant and they try to back to back, and we see it with songs. And now people say, well, I thought it wasn't a bass competition. I thought it was all overall sound. Yeah, that's correct. I agree with you. But anybody who tells you that bass doesn't play a part when Swag Surfing drop, you're crazy. If anybody that tells you that certain things don't make the hairs stand up on your arm or the back of your neck, you're crazy. Whether it's snaps, whether it's vocals, whether it's bass drop, it's music. Music moves your soul. So you go to certain concerts and yeah, the band sound great overall, but let the drummer or the bass player or the saxophone player does something that you be like, ooh, you do the stank face. Come on. It just highlights the overall balance and experience, or however you want to articulate it, right? So boom, you want to back to back, say swag surfing. That drop is going to show the kink in your armor. That Gerald Albright, I think that's Gerald Albright, that anniversary. You want to back to back that. Your tune better be right to highlight that saxophone intro. You play Rihanna "Selfish." That was my go-to vocal song. To this day, it's still in my arsenal. When I hear somebody play that, I'm gonna tell you, if it's right, I'm gonna tell you. If it don't move me, I'm like, there's just a certain way to just tune Rihanna. Period. Rihanna will cut through your soul if tuned a certain way. So when you play songs like "Selfish," that got that, she comes on and it says, I think she says, what she said, is it right? Something like that. Yeah. Even though it felt wrong, and when she says "felt wrong," it has this crazy reverb and echo on it. Play that in your earphones or play it on your bike. And if you can achieve that feeling, when you can actually feel her vocal presence, don't back to back somebody's bike if you can't. Just certain things on the back to back is going to expose your deficiencies, the kinks in your armor. All right. So those were just some things that we talked about when to play back to back. Back to back, you do that when you show enough know, like, ooh, I've been watching such and such. I knew we were gonna wait. I download. That's his go-to song. He always play it. I got it in my arsenal. I know I'm gonna knock him out with this one. Back to back is he played it and he didn't see you coming with that left hook, and you caught him on the chin and knocked him out. That's when you back to back. You don't play a back to back song on a gamble unless it's sudden death. Unless you're asked to back to back. Back to back, you being cute would definitely get you eliminated from the ring or get you laughed at the parking lot pimp. At the parking lot pimp, just wherever you back to back at, if it don't go the way you thought it was gonna go, you better have another song to come right back in and hope that whatever you play next dominate the mistake that you just made. All right. So those are just some things that we talked about. Anybody have any questions before I get off? But the name of this podcast was how to build the perfect playlist. So we talked about just having songs already queued up, ready. If you want to try to, if you can, shoot 2 songs per round is what I like to do. If you're good and you think you can execute 3 songs per round, try it out. But remember, 2 songs, 10 people, you need 20 songs. If you're good. If you shooting 3 songs and you think you're going to go to rounds from the beginning to the end and do a clean sweep, 3 songs, 10 rounds, you need 30 songs. So build your playlist accordingly. And remember, you got to look at everybody that's coming to the ring. I wouldn't have a generic lineup. I would be looking at your opponents coming in and study your opponent before you even get in the ring and try to know the kinks in everybody's armor. We talked about parking lot pimping versus competition. We talked about who is the main enemy, which is the clock. We talked about how to execute, strike first, or scout the competition. Scouting starts Friday night at the meet and greet. Scouting is online leading up to a show. Once you get to the show, you always strike first. Play to win. Every 90 seconds, you playing to win. And we also discussed when to play back to back. Make sure you got enough. And if you know what somebody's go-to song is, practice with it, load it in your bike, in your playlist. So when they play it, make sure you got enough to beat them. The whole purpose of back to back is to show the kink in somebody's armor. And if you can't do that, then you don't need to back anybody. And that's pretty much pretty much it, man. I'm going to come on. I'm going to do more lives like this. I'm going to try to keep them down to like 45 minutes to an hour. If I get some time, I'll go back in edit them and try to put different time spots so where you know where to go at to hear certain things. But we won't really push the Rhythm and Rod, the Team Money Cycles Rhythm and Rod podcast. I was trying to try my new microphone out. I got to go back in YouTube and figure this out. But I'm digging this whole podcasting thing for Rhythm and Rods. So we got a lot of big things in store for 2023. For those of you going out to the Lone Star Rally, everyone be safe traveling out there. It's going to be a heck of a time. Friday night, go to the Strand so you could do your parking lot pimping and do some street battles, pull up. You're going to have some of the best motorcycles in the country on the Strand Friday night getting it in. During the day, you got the show Badass Baggers. That's BADAZZ bikes. Cam and Pop will be doing the show. The flyers are posted on the page. And Saturday, you have the I-35/Banger Audio Sound Series. Lee and Ron Nutt doing the show as well. So make sure you go on the page and pull up those shows for all the information. But every night, the Strand is going to be popping. So see, I'm trying to make that Cali joint. The 2023 schedule, it'll be released soon. So make sure you guys keep a lookout. And I hope one day you bring SOS back to Detroit. Hey man, we got to sprinkle the SOS around and hit some different markets, man. Shout out to Detroit, man. Detroit come ready to rock, man. So I hope you guys like these podcasts we doing. If you have any topics that you want to to discuss, you can send them to email them to me at teammoneycycles@gmail.com. Also, make sure you go and follow us on Instagram at Team Money Cycles. Follow us on TikTok and follow us on YouTube. A lot of this stuff will be posted up on YouTube, and we're also going to launch it where you can subscribe to us to get some behind the scenes and some exclusive stuff. So, just some things that we're working on. But I want to thank everybody for tuning into this Rhythm and Rods podcast. And on this outro, check this song out. This was done by a good buddy of mine, Dirty Clean, representing Norristown, representing Philadelphia, PA, and Rico Barino. Literally, Rico walked into the studio. Dirty played like 20 tracks for him, and Rico went in on his one particular one and just went off the top of the dome. It's like a cool motorcycle-inspired track that he did. So shout out to Dirty for letting me bless the page and sending me the track so you guys can hear it. Let me know what y'all think. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.
I'm looking at the chief, don't I? Yeah, I got a team that wears some big rings. I bet you wanna see, don't you? Light up the city like me.
I want y'all to hear this one from the beginning. Hold on a minute. Let me see if I can crack this off from the beginning. Let's see.
Rag fresh denim, 32 bagger, Gucci frames on with a European swagger. My chest got a tank full of gas. Mama ass is so thick, you can't see the bags. You like what you see, don't you? Well, I'm looking like a chief, don't I? Yeah, I got a team that wears some big rings. I bet you wanna see, don't you? Light up the city like me. Burn out, hear the tires screech. Skate out, on that hog, I'm a beast. And in the streets, I'm a king with a throne you can't reach. Now I'm riding, rolling, ride. I'ma live forever, cause God can't die. Won't sell my soul, my heart, my pride. I'ma live forever, said God won't die. Now I'm riding, rolling, ride. I'ma live forever, cause God can't die. Won't sell my soul, my heart, my pride. I'ma live forever, said God won't die.
The fat man run things, the whole bridge run squad got ring, you see?
My hopping on the school bus. Stupid. Pill popper, syrup sipper, might lose it. Cool kid, tatted up, you ruthless. One mistake, freedom gone, you choose it. Oh, going live, let me teach. What you sow is what you reap. MCM, they gon' follow, we gon' lead. And in the streets, I'm a king with a throne you can't reach. I'ma ride and roll and ride. I'ma live forever, God can't die. Won't sell my soul, my heart, my pride. I'ma live forever, said God won't die. I'ma ride and roll and ride. I'ma live forever, God can't die. Won't sell my soul, my heart, my pride. I'ma live forever, said God won't die.